Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Conversations with the Quick Flick Critic. You have you're here the two ladies that are going to be my guests today. Can't wait to start rapping with them. I'm your host, John Smithstad. Each week, I introduce you to a wide range of remarkably creative and inherently interesting people, like I have today, representing the broad spectrum spanning the world of entertainment. I invite you, as always, to listen, learn, laugh along with us. Today's guests, and this is really cool. I've just seen this movie. The movie is Faye. It's a horror film, but there's more going on in the movie than that, and we'll talk about that with Katie AMOND. She is the writer, director, and producer of Faye, and Sarah ZANOTTI, actor, and I mean solitary actor, writer, and producer in Faye. Katie, Sarah, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. This is going to be fun. Katie, I start off with a very simple question. Probably don't have a simple answer. Maybe it does, but whatever you say is what we're going to be interested to hear. When did you first fall in love with movies, man?
I think when I was, I mean, from a young age. I know that when I was like 2, I was quoting like the Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind, like things my mother would just put on the television so I would shut up, you know. But I've always just, yeah, I was like an asthmatic kid and didn't really do sports or anything, so I just watched a whole lot of movies. And yeah, you know, my mom let me do that, and I did. First one that made me want to make movies was Trainspotting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Sarah, how about you? What's your experience?
Well, I was a kid who I would find one movie and I would just watch it over and over and over and over again. I had like a VHS TV in my childhood bedroom, and I would just watch the same movie every single night. I don't know what that says about me, and I don't remember, like I would definitely watch like all the Disney movies when I was a kid, and then you know, just random comedies and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely started, my mom says that I would sit like 3 inches away from the TV screen and I just be like glued. So it was a love early on for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then from there, from those kind of interesting and auspicious starts, how did it develop into where you talented ladies are now in terms of this is your career, man? This is what you're doing and you're committed to it. We'll continue with Sarah, you know, kind of taking us from 3 inches from the TV screen.
Yeah.
Where you're at now, making movies for us to watch.
Well, you know, maybe those TV waves did something to my brain. They were like, you can make it in entertainment. And I was like, yeah, it won't be hard. No.
Yeah, give it a shot. And you did.
You know, I acted growing up just in like regional theater and stuff like that, and always liked it. But I more so did it because of the singing part, so musical theater. And I really loved singing growing up. So I ended up going to college for that. But I always, I lived in LA for a little bit, and I joined an acting studio there. And I always enjoyed acting. Like it was something that internally felt like home to me, but I was pursuing music. And then I ended up moving to Nashville and joining an acting studio here, and met Katie. And yeah, the second we started writing together, everything just sort of clicked. Cool. And I was like, oh, like all these stories in my head, these characters that I want to play, all of this stuff sort of bubbling up inside of me. Like I've met my perfect match.
Wow.
To be able to make that a reality. So that's kind of how we started, but it also kind of gave me the confidence to feel like I could do it because I wasn't alone.
Understood. I think in any endeavor in life that we pursue. KD, how about you? How did you went to film school in New Orleans? Did you go to Tulane?
I went to UNO.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did your journey kind of?
I mean, from when I graduated in New Orleans, I basically went straight into the film industry just as a PA. Then I went into editorial, a lot of production. And in 2016, I moved to Nashville because I had a script. Like, I was always screenwriting. And I had a script that was doing really well, and it centered around country music songwriters. So I moved here basically for creative research and just never left. And I was wanting to make independent movies, you know, and like make my own stuff. And then I saw a short film with Sarah in it that a mutual friend of ours had DP'd, and I was like, who is that? Give me her number. I want her to be in this sizzle reel that I'm making to pitch. And that's how I met Sarah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting how things develop in the industry. I talk to so many people and know they're kind of the same, but they're not, you know, in terms of how you get to where you're at and where you're going. So independent film, love to talk about independent film. I'm going to throw this question out to you. We are going to talk specifically about Faye, believe me, but my understanding is, if I read the press kit correctly, you shot Faye on several Apple iPhone 11 cameras. Now, I've heard of resourceful independent filmmaking. That kind of takes the cake, ladies. How did that come to be? It kind of gives an idea.
Just these two phones.
We're still using them.
Literally our phones.
Right there, history, folks. You're looking at both of them.
Okay, shot on these.
Still got paint on it.
Well, it makes it cooler. Yeah, but was it, obviously out of necessity. I guess part of this, all of it was shot during COVID and lockdown and all that.
Like right before, and then some during, and then edited throughout lockdown. It continued. Yeah,
we had the idea for Faye while we were in pre-production for the first movie that we made together. And we ended up writing Faye during pre-pro. And then 2 days after we wrapped that first film, we got in a car with our hair and makeup gal and our producer, another producer. The four of us drove down to Louisiana and made Faye. The weirdest part about it, this was like January of 2020. So it was before lockdown. We just happened to, because we were like, we don't have enough money to make a second movie here. We we're digging in our couch for the first one.
Yeah.
You know, asking, you know, for favors from people. So we knew we had the most limited resources ever. Yeah. And we were like, and I had a dream of being in a movie by myself.
Yeah. She looks at me. We were just like hanging out, watching a movie. And she pauses the movie and she goes, Katie, listen, I want to be in a movie. And I was like, you're about to be. We're filming in like 2 weeks. And she goes, no. I want to be the only one in the movie.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it.
Baby.
Yeah. And it just happened to be I mean, you know, COVID lockdown, all that was so terrible, but we had this gift of an idea that we didn't know would be the perfect COVID movie.
Yeah.
So we ended up finishing the rest of it during COVID, editing it during lockdown. And the themes in Faye just also seemed to hit home with a lot of people experiencing isolation for the first time. It just sort of was all, and there was a little bit of magic going on there.
It was like, we'll each put like pocket change in it to like feed our friends.
So the phones, I mean, essentially, we were just like, it was the cheapest thing. And Katie had already shot. Her first feature was on iPhones.
Wow.
So I was really familiar with the software and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the video quality is damn good. I mean, it's high quality, high res.
Apple.
And especially using several phone cameras and editing that together, I can't imagine the monumental task, but you pulled it off, ladies. Wow.
Thank you.
No, absolutely, you did. And then getting into the film itself, it's a horror film, like I say, but it's really investigating the enormous pain of grief and loss presented as horror. That's a tricky equation, man. And that's not easy to pull off. In my opinion, you did it. It's not my job to, first of all, to sell Apple. Those guys do it just fine themselves.
Yeah, they're doing fine.
They're okay.
But to sell anybody's movie, I let people talk about the movie themselves. This movie affected me. Where did the idea, the foundation for the movie come from? Because like I say, it's scary as hell, and a lot of at a lot of points, but there's a deeper resonance to what's going on here. Can you guys talk about that?
Yeah. Well, I think when we started, Faye, Sarah, you had the opening scene in her head, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. We can go from there. That's a jumping off point. And I was like, okay, we got a dead husband in the mix and therapy, and what's her occupation? And then I was like, ooh, writer, a self-help writer who is falling apart is, you know, good conflict. Let's do it. And I think it was just like in the middle of the night, I was like, oh, we'll divide it up into chapters, like a book, each one for a stage of grief.
Yeah.
And then we had our outline from there.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think both of us are super deep feelers, and
for sure.
I mean, I know I am. I have a very hard time concealing how I feel, and you know, especially everything that's going on in the world, and there's been a lot of loss, and even before, you know, all of this stuff, the pandemic and everything, and sometimes your emotions and processing through them can feel like the biggest monsters in your life. And just walking through grief and processing that can feel horrific at times. Like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And so that kind of is how the bridge to making a horror film came about. And this idea that, you know, grief could be a monster.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly is personified and reflected to us as an audience. And like I say, it's moving. It's raw filmmaking, and I mean that as a compliment, KD and Sarah. It's so many, and I don't have a problem with you know, glossy, high profile, big budget movies, but this one's very visceral and very real, and you know, the stuff that happens special effects wise and whatnot is essentially happening in the mind and psychologically. But this is, you know, we all go through crap like this. And it is extremely scary and oftentimes horrifying, and that's the equation that I came away with from the film. Sarah, I don't even know where to start on this. Now again, the press kit says this is the first film where one actress, it's been done by actors before, but one actress is the film. You're the only speaking performer in the entire film. What the hell was that like for you? I can't even imagine. This is, I wrote in my review, I think you've read it, this is your baby. Like, this production crew, and Katie helped you. You guys co-wrote and produced, and KD directed, but you're it on screen. Talk about that.
Yeah, it was weirdly normal.
Oh, okay.
Weirdly, like, I know that it, you know, also it felt like a whirlwind, because like I said, we had just wrapped production on the first movie. So I was in movie making mode. Okay. Like, I was already sort of the well-oiled machine of 16-hour days was in my body at that point.
Kind of like Michael Jordan, you were in the zone.
Yes, I was in this. I was like, yeah, I was already in the game. Coach already put me in. So, so I think some of that kind of carried me through it, and I don't know what the experience would have been like if, you know, we didn't have that movie right before. But also because of that, I was tired, and I had this well of emotion already in my chest, and a lot that needed to be released. And Faye for me was a cathartic experience. And I've said this in some other interviews, but it is so the truth, it's not even funny. I act by myself all the time. All the time. I was walking through the mall this morning. I was walking through the mall this morning pretending to be a psychopath. For fun. For fun. Like just the idea of strapping on a different energy suit and letting it run through my body and being a different person. I do it all the time by myself. If I'm stopped at a stoplight, you better believe I am bawling about a child that I don't have who, you know, got kicked out of school and now we've got to move to Baltimore. I don't know. Like, like it is just constant.
It gets detailed.
It gets detailed. And I think probably because I didn't start my acting career professionally until later on, I used outlets like that. I just used my own creative space and time to be able to do that and feel through those different personalities. So cut to making Faye, acting with the air and with a mirror and just my imagination and the camera. Like Katie's presence and her having the camera right there also felt like this thing that I was playing with, and the energy felt like it was being bounced back to me. So in a strange way, it just felt like walking around the mall pretending to be a psychopath. I don't know.
Felt like a Tuesday.
Yeah, it felt like a Tuesday. Just a brunch.
It's like Michael Jordan. I mean, you know, making 100 shots in a row comes as second nature to him, and obviously acting with you, Sarah. Most of us can't understand on that level, but I understand what you were telling us there, and that's really special, is what it is. Katie, Sarah mentioned you directing basically right in her face a lot of the times. What were the challenges for you in terms of directing one performer, just Sarah, on screen for well over an hour in Faye?
Yeah, a lot of it was relatively easy because I knew that we were intentionally going to be like moving in and out and around a lot, and I was going to jump cut the hell out of the movie, because there's literally no coverage to cut back or cut away to or cut anywhere. It's just Sarah. Directing that was chaotic, but in the best way, if that makes sense. It was I don't normally camera operate, but I did on this one, and I was familiar with like the little gimbal situation and stuff, so I had fun. Just like it felt like a choreographed dance most of the time, and it was a lot of like moving and leading and following and barely planning, and then like knowing precisely where I want to cut because we need to film one more scene before we go put you in gross makeup, that kind of thing. It was just a lot of I guess a lot of just intentional shots and movement, but I think there was a definite flow between actor and camera that wasn't necessarily like rehearsed. It just happened. Like I knew, when I say it wasn't rehearsed, I knew what we were doing. I knew what lens we were on, and I knew that we were moving, and I knew where we could go and where we couldn't go, and she knew that too. And it would just be kind of like I would break the scenes up into lines, like here's the part where I'm going to lead you, and then when you get to this line, I'm going to follow you, that kind of thing. And just taking advantage of the setting,
and also because there were so few of us in the house, there were only 5 of us. And so because of that type of intimacy, there is sort of a you're like, time is on your side, and so like being able to just sort of like figure it out in the moment opened up this well of just magic that I don't know if we would have had access to had we had millions of dollars and just a lot of people around watching it. It just kind of felt like that special thing you do when you're a kid, when you're first starting to create something.
No, it kind of puts me in the mind of Scorsese's, Martin Scorsese's early stuff, where he called it guerrilla filmmaking. And that was really just raw, stark stuff. He obviously got a lot of money and notoriety, and his films changed.
There's a lot of handhelds too. Of course, it's like Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. That's like in my top 5, and that's Scorsese in his formative years.
It's as if you dropped in on somebody's life and you're just
exactly.
I love movies like that, and that's kind of what this movie is. Except you guys take it to levels beyond that. But what I'm hearing a lot of is you guys were just running on just jacked up adrenaline and electricity, and things were flowing. The word I keep coming back to is just naturally.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't a lot of fabrication going on here, if you know what I'm saying. This was just, use the word before, raw stuff flowing forth at us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's very cool. So I want you to talk about your production company. Sarah, you talked about getting together with Katie and you developed your own production company, As If Productions. This is interesting to me, and maybe get into a little bit about the independent film industry. But I watch primarily independent films. I appreciate them. I'm drawn to what the films are doing and about more often than not. I have no problem with the multi-jillion-dollar, Metroplex opening on 9,000 billion screens. That's not where I'm coming from. But these films speak to me more in a very powerful way, and certainly Faye did that. Independent film, I mean, not every single film is a gem, but there's really some damn good stuff out there. It's not, in my opinion, it's never going to be seen or appreciated as much as it should be, but it seems like more and more people are recognizing this is really good professional stuff.
Yeah.
And do you guys see that? And do you feel that we as an audience, as movie fans, are starting to appreciate the current state of independent film and then moving forward as well?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love indie films.
Me too.
I find, and it's so exciting. It's almost like when you find a band that nobody else has discovered yet.
It is.
Find that indie film that you're just like, damn, this is so good. The story is so good, and I don't know why I just keep on bringing up this word, but it feels like there's still some magic there. It's not over. The production on it, although maybe, so again, like you said, professional and all of the things, there's still just, I think it leads with heart.
There's a lot of, like heart
and
spirit.
Again, there are massive mega budget movies that lead with heart. We just saw the movie Everything Everywhere All the Time. And it was, it was a heart driven major film. Awesome. But yeah, I find with independent films, you really get to see people who are, they are so inspired by the art and not necessarily by making, well, no, we all want to make money. Yes. But you know what I mean? But it's
I know exactly.
You're leading with the story. You want to do it because you want to make something that whether one person sees it or a million people see it or whatever, you want to make something that means something important to you.
I would say, just to bounce off of that, I think story and character are just such a huge part of it, because the majority, it is safe to say the majority of studio films and stuff right now are based on previously existing IP, because they come with a built-in audience. And so to take a risk on something that is original is just that. It's a risk that there is no guarantee that you're going to have a following or a built-in audience that wants to see this kind of stuff. But I don't know. I feel like the pendulum always swings. So I'm very hopeful that like those indie movies of the late 90s, early 2000s will have a resurgence, because that's what I grew up on. Like early Tarantino and like even like Little Miss Sunshine and stuff. Things that aren't supposed to work, but they're so cool,
so good. Well,
just
think about it. Just the essence of an independent film is that the people making it believe in it so much that they are willing to pay their own. They are willing to put forward their own money. They're willing to ask. You know what I mean? It's not a given. So it's like you have to believe in what you're putting out there so much that you're willing to just risk it all for a little piece.
And I love like a slice of life movie to me is I would much rather spend 2 hours with a character going through like some emotional roller coaster type stuff than I would action. Nothing against them. They're great. They're cool. They exist for a reason. But man, I definitely love a character piece, and I always have.
Well, it's about story and character. If you don't have that, you don't have much. And Sarah, you mentioned commitment and heart, and I would add soul in there too, because the people that I talk to are putting all their heart and soul and whatever money they have or don't have into something that matters to them,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
And that really is what independent film is about. And I hope you guys get huge budgets and make huge movies. I really do. But it seems to me that I talk to people and said, if I get that, that'd be awesome. Are you kidding me? But if I don't, I'm not going to feel like my life was a waste.
No.
My soul is not going to be crushed.
Yeah.
And some tell me it took a while to get to that place where they would genuinely feel that way. In their private moments, they can say out to themselves, I really mean that. But you guys understand that way more clearly than I do. Okay, now we got to talk about how people can see Faye, and I definitely recommend that you do, because I believe that you will be rocked by the film. We're recording, we're recording on May 10th, and I understand it. The movie releases today. This interview will probably air May 24th. We record a couple weeks out. That's how my producers run the shows. But please let people know how they can see Faye, if you would, Katie. And
yeah, Faye's on pretty much every video on demand platform: Amazon, iTunes, Vudu, Microsoft Store, Google Play, YouTube.
Cox.
Yeah, on demand pay-per-view stuff.
Cablevision, Shaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
cool.
Direct TV.
If there's an online platform, please check it, because Faye will likely be on there starting today.
Yeah.
May 10th.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, just real quick. Sarah, I got to ask you 2 quick questions. Let you guys go. I know you're busy.
No, please.
What is the best damn queso you have ever consumed?
Oh,
On
my goodness. You asked me this question? Okay.
Was it on Faye?
Okay.
You don't want to brag, it says, and yet you know queso, man.
I am a queso connoisseur. Listen, I know cheese. I know it.
Big cheese fan. Yep.
Yeah.
It's in my heart. Okay. I didn't ask for this gift. Don't be intimidated by it. It's just.
I'm scared. No.
So I would say, actually, tying it back to Faye, I had the best queso of my life on the second day of shooting Faye. It was Katie's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah. Well, it was a while.
It was
way
the
back
second
in
day of shooting Faye. And we wrapped early to go celebrate. And we went to this place in
Slidell,
Louisiana.
I've been there. I grew up in Houston, so I've been to Slidell. Yep.
Tacos and beer.
Tacos and beer. They also have it in New Orleans, in different places in Louisiana, and their chorizo queso.
Insane.
It's so good.
Life, but she fainted for a time there.
Oh, it's a Blanco queso. It's a Blanco queso. They put that chorizo in there. That yellow grease just gets spread around.
Oh,
There's
yeah. Are you
in
kidding
there.
me?
You get a nice
Houston,
chip.
I understand.
The chip does matter.
The chip matters. Okay, we want a thin chip.
Yeah.
We want a thin chip, and or sometimes you can get the authentic baked actual tortilla chips, but that's a story for a different day. Again, I don't want to intimidate people too much.
Oh no, I just a tad, and yet intrigued. I think intrigued is probably a more apt term.
Thank you for that question.
And then, Sarah, is your mom still your agent? You do not have to answer that question.
You know what? Yeah, kind of.
Well, how cool is that coming up Mother's Day weekend here?
Right? She's not actually my agent, but I don't have an acting agent. When we started making our own stuff, I just went, you know what? I'm going to Bill Murray it. And if somebody wants to give me a call and it comes to my machine and I happen to hear the message and I go, listen, it's not better than what we could write for me, then I don't know. Do you have queso?
Time, pal. Just don't know if I can fit it in. Okay, and then real quick, you worked on a movie at KD that I really liked, and just if you could real quick tell us your experience, The Big Short.
Oh, that was actually one of my favorite movies.
It's a cool movie, very cool movie.
Yeah. I did travel on The Big Short, so I was very behind the scenes, but it was a great crew. It was a great time, and it's a cool script. Adam McKay really I think that's the script that really turned a corner when we were like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
You know, like it wasn't all
This guy knows
like
what he's about. Yeah.
all his comedies, and he brought like this strange, quirky comedic element to like a Michael Lewis book, which is insane, but it worked. It was really cool.
I can't imagine being on that set and watching those actors, Christian Bale, like what?
Yeah, I know.
Ah.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
And he does become immersed in he's the character
Oh
like
yeah.
all the time, isn't he? Like even off set, he's at craft service, whatever. He's
I don't know. I never saw him at craft service, but I only saw him on, you know, between a scene here and there. But yeah, he takes it very seriously. He takes his craft very seriously.
Well, as do you. And this is a seriously cool movie. It's scary. I can tell you it's not. It is. The movie is Faye, and the primary creative forces behind the movie are the ladies that we just had the pleasure of speaking with here. Katie AMOND, who's director, writer, producer, and Sarah ZANOTTI, who is the lone performer, the actress, the writer, a co-writer with KD and producer. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us. This has been a blast. All the best with Faye and moving forward. And hopefully we can chat again down the line sometime.
We would love that. Thank you so much. Wonderful questions.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. This is Conversations with the Quick Flick Critic. I'm your host, John Smithstad. The show live streams every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Rude Rangers TV, where it is always on demand, along with Roku and Amazon Fire TV. And those platforms are expanding all the time. Until next time, in the next episode, I wish you nothing but good things. And as always, listen, learn, and laugh. Goodbye, everybody.